What the hell's going on, people? This is Periodic, and you see the title of the video. We are jumping back into Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, and we're jumping back into the tier lists. Of course, we always do this every single month. This is going to be for Dokkan-fest TURs. There are going to be no LRs included in this list, and there's going to be no Extreme Z Awakenings. So just straight up global Dokkan-fest TURs, let's get it.
I shut it down wherever power is stored. Being real is in the past, watching cowards get on. It ain't kill me, so it's making me stronger. And these bite-sized rappers now sensing my home.
So if this is your first time checking out one of my tier lists, I'm just going to repeat it one more time. This is global only. There's going to be no LRs. As you can see down here, this is going to be different tier lists because you will see a Extreme Z Awakened tier list this month, you will see a Legendary Rare tier list this month, and you'll see a free-to-play LR tier list this month. You may even see free-to-play Easy A's, who knows. If you want to see more tier lists, then let me know in the comments down below. Appreciate you guys watching this video. First off, while you're down there, you can hit the like button and all that stuff. You guys already know what to do. You've been YouTubing for a long time. Now, the way that these tiers work is we start at the bottom, Master Roshi tier, we move up, King Kai tier, move up, Grand Kai tier, then Supreme Kai tier, then Beerus tier, then Whis tier, then Grand Priest tier, and then finally at the very top, best of the best, Zeno tier. I'm really ranking these units based on how they do in difficult scenarios and how efficient they are and how many teams can they be run on. So characters that can only be effective in one team are going to have, score less than someone who could be put on 6 different teams overall. So with that said, let's start at the bottom, Master Roshi tier. So lacking defense is a common theme for the Master Roshi tier. And obviously Super Saiyan 3 Goku does not have his Extreme Z Awakening. He will get that later down the road and be much, much better. But for now in Global, he doesn't have it, and he just has no defense what to speak of. Same thing with AGL Turles. He's still a good support. But again, you can't run him on difficult content because he will get you killed. And that sucks because he links up and boosts Strength Turles so well that I can't wait for either him or Intelligence Turles to get an easy A. That's going to be fantastic. Once again, you have Physical Omega, lacks defense. Yes, he can pump out decent amount of damage, but lacks defense. Gogeta now is interesting because he can give himself a bit of defense on his super attack, but again, it's only for that one turn, so if he gets hit beforehand, he is in trouble. And then you have kind of a similar situation with Physical Vegeta, where, yeah, he's negating damage on normal attacks, but he's getting absolutely slapped, blapped, and capped, and clapped, and trapped, when he's getting super attacked. All the above, right? And then Tech Hit is just garbage with his defense. Like, he's got, I think, like 2 links that give him defense. So he's at like 30% defense or 35% defense at most, right? And that's if you're activating all links. And then you have Strength Gohan, who, again, he's got some links that can give him defense, and then he can guard sometimes, but that's just not enough. And he's really only somewhat useful when he's next to the Tech Ultimate Gohan. Even then, he's just a huge liability. So Master Roshi tier is a tier that they can be interesting and useful in certain ways, but they all lack defense, and they can all get you killed. So the next tier, the King Kai tier's theme, can be summed up as not enough or takes too long. So you have the Intelligence Angel Golden Frieza, who just doesn't have enough defense and also has the bad mechanic of lowering superclass allies' attack, which is kind of stupid. Everything else he does well. You have the Int Goku Black, again, takes too long. Takes too long to get going. He's not going to be effective until you're at least 6, 7, 8 turns into a fight. So you just can't bring him on early content. And the same goes for the Tech Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. He's going to be stacking attack and defense every attack. And yeah, he can attack multiple times in a turn. But when you're only giving yourself 20% defense and you start with 0, it's going to take a while before you have 200k defense. And then you have the Strength Rose Goku, who never really can hit that 200k defense mark. Maybe if like he has items boosting him up and stuff like that. But he's really good in all other regards, right? He's buffing his team on both his super attack and his passive, so that's really nice. But his defense is lacking for sure. And you can kind of continue that theme with the AGL Goku. Again, he's kind of in a weird position where, yeah, he's stacking attack and defense, but he's losing his damage reduction, and that's all he has. And you got the kind of the same story with Tech Frieza, where he's stacking attack and defense, but he's only giving himself healing every turn, which is just not enough. They just get hit way too hard. And then you have an interesting case with the physical Gohan, the future Gohan, where again, he takes a while to get going. Every single turn he's gaining damage reduction, but he doesn't really shine unless he's with future Gohan. And he actually just looks bad next to anybody else. And then you have Super Saiyan 4 full power Goku, who kind of just looks bad. I don't know what it is about him. He's somebody that his passive makes him look better than what he actually is, but he gets hit way too hard for what his stats show. It's kind of annoying, to be honest. And then last but not least, Super Saiyan 3 Bardock, only 100% attack and defense, so he's not going to be able to hit too hard. He's not going to be able to get hit too hard. Well, he's going to get hit too hard. And then his passive, the bonus support that he does is situational, so you can't really rely on it. With that said, everybody in the King Kai tier is still usable, especially if you kind of put them in a good place where they can actually shine. So if you guys have anybody in the King Kai tier, or you just recently pulled them, they're still good. And everybody beyond the King Kai tier is usable. Hell, even units in the Master Roshi tier are usable. It's just really difficult to clear extremely hard content, having to rely on them being on your team. So we're graduating up to the Grand Kai tier, and we're going to start off with AGL Metal Cooler again, a unit that kind of takes a while to get going, but if you are on a shorter event, I do like the fact that he doesn't really have a condition to go giant metal core. It's just health, right? You drop below certain HP threshold and you'll transform. That's good. AGL Zamasu, unfortunately, the damage reduction just doesn't really cut it anymore, particularly on harder events. He's really there just to try to finish fights as soon as possible. When you transform, it takes him, 3 turns to get his first transformation. 40% damage reduction. If he greatly raises defense on his super attack, even just for that one turn, that'd be so much better. So he's able to link Godly with a bunch of other Realm of God units and kind of those, Fear and Faith style characters. But besides that, right, he just has the weakness of getting hit really, really hard. And then you have Int Kid Goku, who I honestly would like to put higher, but he just doesn't have enough people to create a team around him. His team is still lackluster. You're relying on a lot of free-to-play units, which just aren't really ever going to be as good as some of the top tier characters. Like, yes, LR Master Roshi is absolutely fantastic, don't get me wrong, but he's not on the same level as LR Intelligence Vegeta and LR Master Ultra Instinct Goku, right? That's what I mean by that. And so Int Kid Goku still has to rely on a lot of free-to-play characters to fill out his team, and he really just needs more Dokkan-fest and more LRs to finally have a solid core squad that he can run with. Until then, he's going to be down in the Grand Kai tier. Physical Vegeta, it's kind of a plain Jane. It gets better as the fight goes on, and then has that, one turn where he turns all physical orbs, or all orbs into physical orbs, which is great because he gets a nice little nuke there. But besides that, he doesn't do anything particularly crazy. But there's really nothing wrong with him, right? He's just kind of a jack of all trades there. And then you have the Strength Goku, who's really solid when he does turn Super Saiyan. I'm just not a huge fan of the condition to turning Super Saiyan. I do love that he has a Rage mode because he kind of is similar to the LR Int Rose in that way. But besides that, he's just kind of a unit that does a lot of things, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you're just never able to see them because you're unlucky with his transformation condition. And in his base form, he's not really that good. Then you have Strength Transforming Buu, who's an interesting unit because he wasn't good for a long time. He was just kind of meh, right? Just kind of boring, didn't really do anything, that was exciting. But then LR, physical Buu-tanks came along. And when you transform that Buu-tanks into Buu-han, they're absolutely perfect with each other because the majority of the time when you're transforming as this Strength Buu, you're going to turn into Buu-han. And so in that regard, sitting at 120% attack and defense, gaining what 15% HP at the end of the turn, I believe. He's able to sit above 200k defense and do 3 to 5 million attack stats, which is actually pretty insane. Now, the strange thing about him, though, is if you don't put him next to other Majin Buu units, then he's going to look really terrible. And that's how he was for a while. There wasn't really a team that he can run on that was good. Now we have an abundance of Majin Buu Saga extreme units that he can look good alongside of. So he's actually something that's gotten better with age. Then you have AGL Evolution Vegeta. He's got definitely a lot more linking partners, like, for example, the Goku and Vegeta, the Gobros, not the Gobros, I'm sorry, the Blue Boys. You have the 2 6-year anniversary units. You have a ton of Tournament of Power Universe 7 characters that have been added, but unfortunately, they've replaced them. There's a lot better units that you would want to bring onto the team than have him as one of your 6. With that said, when he gets his EZA, he's going to be in an incredibly good position to climb up the ranks. And then last but not least, you have Physical Cooler, who is really good now, just, again, kind of boring, just that flat 100% attack and defense. Then he's got that chance to do the additional super attack. He is going to be one of the best scaling units when he gets his Extreme Z Awakening, so looking forward to that for sure. We're moving up to the Supreme Kai tier, and to be quite honest, Supreme Kai tier has a lot of fantastic characters on it. You're starting with the Physical Super 17, who again has gotten, or Super 17, MVP 17, who's gotten a lot better, particularly because of the Universe 7 units, and he's a character that lowers attack, so he works very good with Goku Frieza. So he's still really solid. And then if you move on to the AGL Gogeta, people forget that when this man transforms after what, 4 turns, 5 turns? I think it's 5 turns. He's guaranteed to crit. Guaranteed to crit, has like a 50% chance to dodge at that point. Just absolutely bonkers. And then, of course, Physical Broly, anybody who levels Lynx knows how good he is. The fact that he gives himself so much key means that he doesn't need a dedicated linking partner. You can have him in that 3rd spot on any rotation. He's going to be able to super attack no matter what. Then you have Int Gohan, who was kind of one of the first units that was in the same line as Strength Cooler, except for the super side of things. Was it Master, the Bond of Master and Disciple support, and then when he transforms, he loses that support, but he becomes his own, powerful unit. It's really good, particularly if you're running that type of, siblings bond, master, Bond of Master and Disciple, and all that fun stuff. And then Tech Transforming Trunks. Now, Trunks is an interesting character here because a lot of people sleep on him. He's essentially the TUR version of LR AGL Gohan. He takes a while to get going. Yes, it takes him 3 turns to be able to transform. Fine. So he's kind of boring in those first 3 turns. But after he transforms, he's going to be stacking attack or stacking his defense, which is very, very good. And then if you want to, the next turn, you can turn him into an orb using nuking weapon, right? You can just transform him, boom, grab a bunch of orbs, and he's going to be able to do a lot of damage. Or if you want him to be a bit more defensive, you could just keep him in that 2nd form and have him continuously stack for the rest of the fight. And then next we have Strength Jiren, who's just a solid unit overall. He's got the big stats, and he's also got the chance to stun, which is really good. And then, of course, the guaranteed crit if he does stun. And he's just a really good partner with the LR Jiren because that LR Jiren is full power Jiren. So they're able to link up very, very well. Next up is Strength Kaioken Goku. And Strength Kaioken Goku is a very polarizing unit because he's got very high highs and he's got very low lows. He's not particularly good early on because he does have to get hit to be able to get stronger. Now, unfortunately, his stats don't really go to insane levels. Yes, he's going to keep getting more offensive oriented, but he will hit a cap on his defense, and it's not necessarily the highest of levels. Now, that's kind of made, like, it's kind of overridden by his offensive abilities because he does have one of the strongest hitting offensive abilities, one of the best active skills in the game. But would you put him on a Universe 7 team over some of the other choices that we now have? Not sure. Tough one to decide. Then last but not least, we have Tech Exchange Buu, who I typically have lower, but I'm going to move him up a bit because I do love his 3rd form. His 3rd form is really, really, really strong. His 1st form is not only boring, it's not particularly good. I would say his first form is in line. Actually, probably like a slightly worse version than Super Saiyan 3 Bardock's with like the 100% attack and defense, you know what I mean? But in his second form, he starts having cool mechanics, cool gimmicks that's, he's able to do well with, the seal and all that stuff that he's able to get off. So that's nice. And then in his last form, he's very powerful. But the problem is that it takes him 7 turns to flip and get there. Talking about taking 7 turns to get somewhere, you have Kefla and you have Gotenks. So now the reason why Kefla and Gotenks are on a higher tier than Tech Exchange Buu is very simple. The second form of Super Saiyan, of Gotenks going into Super Saiyan and Kefla going into Super Saiyan just are much better than the second form of the Tech Exchange Buu. So the Super Saiyan of Gotenks, honestly, sometimes you may even want to keep him in that form if you're looking to be in an event that hits hard, right? Because he's actually tankier than the third, the Super Saiyan 3 version. Whereas the Kefla, again, Form 2 and Form 3 are absolutely fantastic characters. Just the first three, the first 3 levels you kind of have to get through. The first 3 turns you kind of have to get through to be able to get them into an even stronger state. Then you have Bardock, who's really, really solid, especially for like a Pure Saiyans kind of unit. This dude is just powerful in almost all events, particularly if he's facing Wicked Bloodline. And then when he transforms, if you're facing Extreme Class, I mean, again, he's similar in line to the transforming Gohan, the AGL 13s, the Strength Coolers, where when he goes into that second form, and if he's facing that particular, kind of character, he's going to do absolutely ridiculous damage. Now, Physical Piccolo is actually an interesting character because he's not necessarily there for his second form. Yeah, you can go and put him in his second form and he's useful and he can do somewhat damage and he's very, very tanky. But honestly, you would probably want to... You wouldn't mind keeping him in his first form, honestly. And the reason why I say that is because you kind of have to go out of your way to be able to get his transformation condition going, which sometimes could be difficult. You have to either run another Piccolo, so you're running the Worthy Rivals, Namekian's team, or you kind of have to try to fit Nail in there somewhere, or you're another Namekian, right, for him to transform. So you don't really need to go that out of your way to make him transform. Keep him in this first form. When he's in the turn, he's going to be able to detect the super attacks, which is really what you're bringing him for, and his defense. In his first form, he's still fantastic defensively. He gets even better when he transforms, yes, but in his first form, he's very good defensively. And then you have Tech Janemba. And Tech Janemba, I think I've had him lower before, but I'm going to increase him. And the reason why is this. I don't think he's as good as Pikkon because, unfortunately, in his first form, it just requires more to do what Pikkon does. And they kind of split it in two where, essentially his support conditions of getting 4 key orbs to give the extreme class ally support and getting 2 rainbow orbs to be able to dodge is kind of flipped on its head when you're jumping into his second form. When you transform him, he needs 3 type orbs to get his attack bonus and only 1 rainbow orb to have a 50% chance to dodge. Whereas Pikkon is support for 3 orbs and 50% dodge for 1 rainbow orb, which is doable. That is not that hard to get every turn. 4 type orbs and 2 rainbow orbs is very hard to get every turn. So that's why Janemba's passive is a little wonky in that way. But honestly, when he turns into Super Janemba, he's really, really good. And the way you kind of have to think of him is get him into Super Janemba as fast as possible. Don't rely on that support bonus because you're probably not going to get it that often. If you can get it in his first form, good. If not, get him into Super Janemba. He's going to be attacking very hard. He's going to be good defensively. Yes, he's losing guard, but he's going to gain 50% dodge chance. So that's fine. And of course, he's going to be linking well with, the Int Janemba or the Strength Janemba, whoever you decide to choose. So just get him into the second form as fast as possible. Don't worry about giving support like you would with Pikkon and just treat him in that way. And I think you'll have a better time, honestly. All right, we've ascended to the Whis tier, and we've been talking about PyCon, so let's talk a little bit more about him. I mean, I'm a huge fan of this unit, especially when you're doing the unit super attacks, but like I said, buffing up your team is not that difficult, and getting that 50% chance to dodge is not that difficult, and he's doing okay damage on top of that. Like, yeah, he doesn't have a lot of people that are going to link up really well with him, but the fact that he's giving that support, that key support, is really, really well, right? That's really good. And he's able to do somewhat, decent damage if he's going to be doing his unit super attack. And then you have the physical Goten and Trunks, who people think, some people think you should rate him higher. I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Number one, when he's on his own team, he's spectacular, all right? Absolutely spectacular. When he's not on his own team, he's okay. And he cannot get hit before he attacks. So he has to be in slot 2 or slot 3. He cannot be placed in slot 1, because if he's in slot 1, he's going to have sub 100k defense, and he can get one shot by the most difficult events in the game. And that's an issue. If you're saying that this character deserves to be in the Z tier or the SSS tier, or whatever, top tier you want to say it is, it can't be a unit that can potentially lose you the match just because his defense is low on the first slot. That's why, to me, LR Goku Frieza is not going to be on the same level as AGL LR Goku or Int Vegeta, because Int Vegeta has 150% defense plus 10% damage reduction. And let's just say if he gets hit 3 times before he's able to attack, he's fine, because he's just going to get tankier. Same thing with UI Goku. He doesn't have to worry about it. He's sitting at 70% dodge plus 150% attack and defense, so he's already at 200k defense for the most part. Whereas you have LR Goku Frieza, who's sitting at like 130k defense, 110k defense, and they don't skyrocket their defense until they actually attack. And then, if they're doing 18 keys, then they're getting up to like 350k defense, which is absolutely stupendous. But you can't put them in the first slot, which is a liability. You can't have them get hit first, and that's a liability. Hence why Goten and Trunks are a liability, unless if they're put in the second or third spot. Physical Beers is kind of the opposite way. You want to put him in the first spot, because he gets stronger when he gets hit first. He gets much stronger when he gets hit first, and he does a ridiculous amount of damage when he gets hit first. Not to mention, if you're facing Realm of God units, he's very powerful because he's orb changing at that point, which is awesome. Stacking attack, very, very good. Vegeta and Goku are pretty much the same unit. They just kind of flip them around just a little bit. They're great with orb changers. They don't necessarily need a ton of orbs. 3 orbs, and they're really, really strong. The only thing that I'm not a huge fan of is they kind of drastically change their links when they transform. I'm not a huge fan of characters that do that, particularly key links, hence why they're not any higher. And then you have AGL 13. We've talked about this type of unit before. Support unit to start off. Then when they transform, they're really strong. The thing I like is that they cannot be dodged by Gokus, which is really, really cool. And they just do so much damage against Gokus, which is awesome, because guess what? This is Dragon Ball Z. Goku's the main character. You're going to be fighting a lot of Gokus. We have finally climbed up to the Grand Priest tier, and we're starting with the brand new Dokkan-fest, Strength Videl. Now, why is Strength Videl here and not in the Zeno tier? Well, I'll tell you very easily. She's can only really be run on one team. There's one viable team that you're going to be able to clear pretty much all content in the game, which is the Majin Buu saga, and that's the team you want to run her on. Peppy Gals, not really. Defenders of Justice, hell no, right? So it's like that leads to her getting knocked down a few notches, because again, she's not like an AGL UI Goku that can be run on Pure Saiyans, Goku's Family, Realm of God, Representative Universe 7, Universal Survival Saga, and be viable as hell, if not the best character at every single one of those teams. Videl is good on one team. That's who she can pair. That's who you can combine enough units that are going to make her as strong as she is. So even though on that team, she may be probably the best TUR in the game when she's on that team, she's only that on that team. And she physically cannot be on other teams that you would want her to be on, like other OP categories. She's just kind of relegated to that squad, which is really rough. And her links hold her back just a little bit, very similar to the physical, the movie Broly, right? The Broly trio there. Godly passive, but links and categories hold them back. Same thing happening for this Strength Videl. Strength Bojack, on the other hand, can be used on a ridiculous amount of teams. And even though he's not anywhere as good in, gaining dodge, doing 9 million attack stats, doing unbelievable stuff that the Videl does, Strength Bojack is going to be supporting other people, particularly that in LR Bojack, where he gives him, 300k defense and he's making that dude do 5-6 million attack stats. Strength Bojack is supporting one of the best categories in the game. And then when he transforms, he's just going to be hitting harder and harder and harder. So he's absolutely fantastic. And then you have Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, another unit who's absolutely fantastic, and a character who you can kind of do no wrong with. You put him in any situation, he's going to be good because of that massive 200% attack and defense. Plus, for the first 8 turns or whatever the hell it is, or 7 turns, he gains even more stats, which is insane. Attacks effective against all types, all that stuff, right? And his active skill is one of the best in the game. Debuffing the enemy and buffing Gogeta, so absolutely fantastic. And speaking about one of the best characters in the game, you have Physical Golden Frieza, who, in my opinion, is one of the best Super Battle Road characters in the game. I would argue that because he has the choice of sealing the enemy's attack, debuffing the enemy's attack, or stunning the enemy, that makes him the king of Super Battle Road, because you have the choice. You don't have to, after 3 turns, he automatically turns into Golden Frieza and you can only stun at that point. No, he has a turn 1 active skill that's just a switch. Do you want to continue debuffing the enemy and sealing them, or do you want a guaranteed stun or 70% stun? What's your choice, right? And you can turn into whatever situation makes the most sense. Now, I will say that on longer events, GT Goku event and stuff like that, he can get hit harder, and that is why I removed him from the Zeno tier. Next up, his brother, Strength Cooler, the OG, still going strong. The OG is going this strong because, yes, Terrifying Conquerors, he gives the ridiculous buff, and yes, he gives the buff to transformation boost. That's all established. But when you transform him, he's stacking attack, and the sheer amount of enemies that he has that guaranteed crit additional super attack against, Pure Saiyans and Hybrid Saiyans, which make up damn near half of the game. That is why he is still up here in Grand Priest tier, and that's not going to change for a long time in my opinion, particularly because he still has high stats even in that second form. So this man is still a very, very powerful individual, similar to the Int Broly, who's a powerful individual. Now, the Int Broly is kind of in the opposite league of the physical Golden Frieza, where the Int Broly is not particularly that useful turn 1 because he's not sealing, he's not stunning, he's not doing any of that stuff. This man is just a powerhouse of damage that has the potential to do 4 super attacks in 1 turn. Now, it does take him a while to kind of get going. And when I say a while, I mean like turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, which is not really that crazy. But he's one of the most, destructive units in the game on longer events. And then his active skill, his active skill is absolutely incredible as well. So this dude's just really damn good. Final 3 characters going up into the Zeno tier. And by the way, I should have said this in the beginning. The order of the units does not matter. I just kind of rate them all in the same tier. And so the final 3, Tech Transforming Gohan, and then GT Goku and Vegeta. Why are they the best? Because they can go into any type of content and own it. They can go into any kind of content and be the best character on that team, right? The GT units, the fact that they get stronger when they orb change, and oh, by the way, they're their own orb changers, that's pretty good. Tech Transforming Gohan, he greatly raises his attack and defense, so he's going to be super tanky later on down the road. Well, that's fine. You can go ahead and say like, he's only good on long events. He's got guaranteed guard, my friend. So turn 1, he's already tanky as hell with guaranteed guard and ridiculous, like, what, 130% attack and defense stats. So his defense is already starting off good. And then it gets even better, and he keeps giving himself ki on top of that. So even if you're like, oh, he's got ki issues, turn 1, it's like, okay, he's got guard, and he's going to give himself ki. Who cares? It doesn't really matter. So on the Zeno tier, all 3 of these characters are godlike in long events, in short events, in medium events. They can be put on whatever team they want. They're going to give themselves enough ki to super attack. In the Gohan, he gives himself literally 1 ki per turn. And then the Goku, Vegeta, they're giving themselves orbs so they can super attack and do a ridiculous amount of damage. So they're good with a bunch of Cybermens on their team. Doesn't matter. They're monstrous. So there you go, guys. There's the tier list for the month of August. Now, this is early in August for the most part, early tier lists. Usually do them later in the month, but with the worldwide campaign coming at the end of August, we'll probably get 2 new LRs instead of 2 new TURs. So I'm pretty confident that this is going to be the TURs that we'll see for the month of August, unless we get some weird world first or global first type of TUR, which I'm not really expecting. But let me know what you think about it. Comments, questions, analysis, all down below. If you've enjoyed the video, you already know what to do to join the club. You can do so by clicking that blue join button, become a Boomer champion like Joe V, or you can click that thanks button, have your comment highlighted down below, or just do it the free-to-play way. Gently rub that sub button, gingerly ring that bell button, lovingly kiss the like button. As always, is Periodic. See y'all in the next video.